Let's talk about the next soul level. Now, you've heard me talk about the dark night of the soul. I've explained in depth what the dark night of the soul is all about. The dark night is about communicating with your soul. That's what it's all about. Being in the dark night, what happens is that you've got fed up with your human story. You fall into that darkness because none of it makes sense. But what is the question that you are asking? And the question we are asking is, who am I? Because in your human story, we believed who we are. You know, in that story, I totally believed I was a human being. And of course, you hear me now speak about the Be Me being, which is the process of understanding who am I. So this became a process of truly asking that big question, who am I? Well, that was the moment when the ball started to roll. So if you are one of them beings that are asking, who am I? You have to define yourself from your level of your soul. In your human story, you've now discovered who you are not. So getting in connection with your soul. So the next stage in the evolution of the soul. You've understood what the darkness of the soul is saying, and it's very negative. Hopefully you've connected in with your soul, and therefore you want to embrace your soul and come out a soulful being rather than a broken human being. This is what I bring, and that is why it's called Beamism, because it's about finding the true self, feeling the true self, and being the true self. So Be Me became me. So Be Me is me. So Be Me is you. So it's all about finding out about the truth of who you are. I took it to that level where I'm not a human being. It's a crazy one, but it was part of my soul's awakening, because when you start to communicate with your soul, you need to ask yourself the important questions. You're asking your soul for guidance. Now, the reason why I say you're asking your soul, because what we've been doing is asking God, or we've been asking Jesus. We got to go inside, because that's where I went. So I had to go in and do the work. So I started to have an inner dialogue with my soul. So as I say to you, look at how your inner dialogue is treating you. Is it treating you like you're its best friend, or is it killing you? If it's killing you, then that's the human side of you. You've got to learn to love who you are. That's the ultimate. You've got to find out that naturalness, because what you're looking for is love, is naturalness, and naturalness is love, which means I know who I am. When I answered that question, who am I, there was many identities. I'm a hairdresser, makeup artist, photographer. You've heard me talk about it. But who am I can also take you into the journey of, well, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm lost, I'm lonely, I'm confused. You know, there's so many different titles. So when you're deeply in the soul, trying to discover who am I, that soul will make sure you find out who you are. And it's a strange journey, because I thought I was Trevor Owsley, just a human being. But in that darkness, it taught me a lot about my own darkness. It taught me a lot about my own emotions, my own fears, my own demons. Now, they're not my fault. That is what's been given to us from the human programming. See what I'm saying? Everything you do, you collect, it's all human. And I know a lot of people out there getting a bit confused when I say, you know, you've got to be the Be Me. You get to the idea where you separate yourself from that human self. And then this self, which we would call the higher self, starts to look at yourself in that human way. And then you start to work out why you are like you are. And you're looking for the answers to the reasons of why you're like the way that you are. So connecting in with yourself and in your soul, I always say the best thing to do is get a pen and paper and have an inner dialogue with your soul. to discover your own true self, Be Me. My Be Me self brought Be Meism, brought the code of empathy, showed me how to heal myself, showed me how to heal others. I mean, it's a gift beyond anything I could have ever imagined as a hairdresser. So I bring the importance that I discovered because it's all about discovery. You'll always hear me say that. I'll always say, I discovered. And it's such a beautiful way of saying it because you can say, I discovered or I uncovered. So you have to discover something, don't you, to then uncover it. And then what happens is you're starting to uncover who you truly are. So I could say, who am I? I can say I'm a child of God. I can say that I'm come from a long lineage of my ancestors and this is who I am. This determines who I am. I can still say I'm an hairdresser, makeup artist, photographer. This is who I am. I can use my name and my religion. This is who I am. Trying to find out the true I am is your connection to your soulful self, which is connected to what we would say is the God self, connected to the whole thing. Because the whole thing is a universal language. And the human being has been severed. It doesn't work. We don't know how to communicate with that. We don't know how to listen to that. Now, when the soul wants to communicate with you, it can come in your dreams. It can come from the lips of others. It can come through your TV screen. Whatever your question is, somehow the answer seems to show itself up. Have you never thought that? It's like, okay, that's weird. I was only thinking about that yesterday and now that's happened. That's what I call all the weird bits. That's your soul that is showing you the answer because you can't quite understand what the soul is saying because you're still the human. And so therefore it is played out in front of you. You've got to teach yourself to have an inner conversation. That's why my theory, my process, my transformation is all about inner communication, awakening body, mind and energy. When you awaken, then you truly understand your soul. And your soul starts showing you what truly happened. You look at it through the eyes of the soul, and it's a completely different meaning. It has a completely different purpose to it. And you see it as this pathway that it's been a journey of self-discovery, self-healing, self-awareness, and self-inner dialogue, communication that you've been having whilst having a journey called human. But your intelligence is an incredible healer. Your soul is a fantastic healer and an incredible teacher. And the reason being is because it knows everything. The human doesn't even know itself. So connecting in with your soul is a fascinating, incredible experience of awe and wonder and disbelief and magic. It's incredible to think that you're this normal human being and all of a sudden you find this connection within yourself and you start communicating with your soul, you start communicating with your intelligence, and that intelligence is actually working for you and with you. So is it possible to heal yourself? Oh yeah, of course it's possible. I bring the message of a new identity and a healing code that can help you save you in 3 letters, 2 words, 1 truth. That is what I discovered from the intelligence of my own soul. And I believe that it is God's instructions to all souls, because God's instructions simply said this: be me. Go forth and be me. Once you awaken into your true self, you will be amazed of who you can be. What you're trying to discover is your own practice, your own self-belief, your own connection to who you believe God is. I mean, look at yourself and say to yourself, well, what is my idea of heaven? What is it? Write it down. What do we all believe this place of heaven is supposed to look like? What is it supposed to be telling us? What is it supposed to be showing us? And what does it actually mean when we turn around and say, oh, we got to bring heaven down to earth? Well, what does that actually mean? Understanding the self is your greatest gift. If you awaken to yourself and you speak to yourself with the intelligence and the respect, just how you would love somebody to speak to you. You've got to learn to speak to yourself like that, because this journey is about you and you. That means this journey is about your soul and your human experience. Which one is which? The soul knows everything about your human experience, but you don't know nothing about your soul until you fall into depression and into the dark night of the soul. There's the communication. The soul says, I've had enough. Let's begin again, shall we? And that is be me. And so therefore, the great awakening and the great shift that is happening on this planet is for us to say, enough is enough. I can't keep being a human being. It's killing me. And that is when you decide to work on yourself and to discover yourself by communicating to your own soul that knows everything about you, and it knows everything about your ancestral lineage, and it knows where it's come from, and it knows where it's going. So get your journals out and start writing a letter to your soul to discover the answer to the question you pose, who am I? My name is Trevor Ilesley. I'll see you on the other side. Take care.